Well, despite all the bickering and politics going back and forth, you can tell by the picture I'm not a supporter of Hillary Clinton by any means. But why do the elite have to back her? Is something where it's just politics or maybe their economic policy? Well, in one word, it's bailouts. Bailouts. The upcoming bailouts. You remember what happened in 2008, 2009, when they had a troubled asset relief program where people were buying up, or actually the Federal Reserve was buying up troubled assets in banks to shore up the banks? Well, obviously this is coming down again. There's going to be a bigger implosion now coming up soon than there was in the past in 2008, 2009. You remember what happened to AIG, the American Insurance Group, also what happened to Bear Stearns, what happened to Lehman Brothers. Yeah, due to the housing market and all that garbage. But I mean, right now, when you're looking at the derivatives exposures on the biggest banks out there, it doesn't matter if it's Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Citibank, they're all exposed to derivatives at a rate of about 50 times to their net worth, their net assets. And I don't even know if they can be bailed out. That's the thing. That's the other thing. But as of always, a liquidity infusion will keep them alive till, whatever, something else changes. And it's always a matter of last man standing. As long as you can keep your doors open, you can keep everything rolling, make your payrolls and all that type of stuff. You can keep moving, and eventually times will work out in your favor again. Now, one of the guys that was, I'll mention this guy because I know so many people think this guy's such a big hero, and you can say, well, what do you know? What do I know? Yours truly speaking, compared to Warren Buffett. Well, I could just tell you that he's a shrewd shark. He's not somebody that's out for, I don't want to put it that way, maybe out for the people, but I just want to put it this way. He was one of the main lobbyists for the bailouts because he profited and benefited by the bailouts, and a large number of his companies were going to go under or be greatly diminished if the bailouts did not happen. So he lobbied for the bailouts, and at the same time, he was criticizing them and making like, he's saving the world while he's basically stealing taxpayers' money. I got no respect for this guy at all. He's garbage. But he's one of the main ones that I know back in 2013, he flat out stated that Hillary Clinton would be the next president back in 2013. Okay? Along with even the Google CEO, the one of people that bought out YouTube and all that, right? They know what's coming up. We're coming into the next cycle. The things that have been going on recently over the last, 8 years during the Obama administration, it's just been kind of patchwork. The creditary expansion has greatly increased to 3.5 times what it was back in 2008, 2009 overall. Consumers are in way more debt. Now, actually, they can't even add debt the way they have been recently, but they have hit a plateau because there's no more assets to even, issue new debt against. It's like everything's tapped out. Bear Stearns, good example. Nobody thought they could ever go down. Been around for well over 100 years. This time, I don't really know what's going to happen. I know what the conspiratorial media tells you, all the too big to fail are going to go down, but maybe that's true. But then again, if an entity goes down, it doesn't necessarily, you got to look at, here's Bear Stearns, okay, the entity went down, but people behind the scenes walked away with a lot of cash, walked away with a lot of money. And even when General Motors went bankrupt, it's like the people who are running it made a lot of money, right? Remember that? So there's a big lobby out there to get the bailout money when it comes. The next situation comes up, and it's coming up. It's right at the edge right now. It's probably going to happen within the first couple months of the new administration, which unfortunately probably is going to be Hillary Clinton. I don't think by popular vote. Not that I'm voting for her, but I think that they will steal the election because there's too much. I mean, I'm just looking at the writing on the wall. I hate to say this because people get mad at me for saying this, but that's why they have to have her. I think Michael Bloomberg's going to be in major trouble too. Spider-Man's not going to get him out of the situation. And Spider-Man's giving him his little spidey senses over here saying, Mike, you got to freaking back Hillary because Hillary's your puppet and she's going to bail you out as much as possible. It's all, there's a whole bunch of people that are billionaires. I mean, if we just put it simplistically, a dumb way of saying it, but a whole bunch of people are billionaires. But there's a lot of people that have an interest in surviving the next crash, and there are a lot of people are tied in with these big financial institutions. Now, even if, like I said, if the institution goes down, it doesn't necessarily mean that the top corporate officers went down with it. Who loses the money? The people that have invested in these institutions. And that, I think, is going to be the target of, what's going to happen in the future. In other words, a lot of pensions, a lot of 401ks, a lot of people's retirements are all wrapped up in these institutions. The top brass and CEOs of these corporations and financial institutions and investment houses, whatever, they're going to walk off fat cats. And Hillary's going to make sure that their pockets are lined. And there's not going to be enough money they're going to have bail-ins on the banks and all this type of stuff, but it's not going to be the fat cats that are there. Actually, Hillary is definitely the candidate of the elite. There's absolutely no doubt about it. What I think is coming up is we call it the Great Depression, like World War One then he had the Great Depression at World War Two, and this is going to be a depression that's going to make the Great Depression look like nothing, and people are just not even anywhere near as independent as they used to be. It's going to be horrible, and I don't even think the elite got everything figured out. I know they don't. I mean, they never do. I mean, they're just very aggressive people that just keep rolling along and react to the situation as much as possible. I mean, even when we had in 2008, 2009, Hank Paulson was trying to get things done. That you could say he was an evil guy and all that stuff, fine. But if we didn't have those bailouts, everything really would have came down. That's a fact. It really would have. And maybe that would have been a better thing short term. I mean, over the long term, it meant, it might have been very bad short term. Because the situation has now just been postponed for another 7, 8 years. And this is not a doom and gloom video. I'm not trying to tell you freaking some garbage to scare you. I just know this is why the main reason they got to have Hillary Clinton in there. And she's going to win, I think, by hook or crook. I don't know if it's guaranteed for sure. And it's not that. I'm not saying not to vote. And I don't think she's going to win by the reality of the votes. I mean, I know there's still a sizable portion of Americans that are for her, but if you look at the Trump rallies versus the Hillary rallies, it's pretty obvious that, and if you look even online with Facebook, YouTube, comments and sections, no matter what type of articles are out there, whether it's liberal, conservative, right-wing, left-wing, whatever, the comments are overwhelmingly against her because she's been heinously corrupt. But she's their representative. She's the money's representative, and they have to have her win. Now, I don't want to say it's a foregone conclusion yet, but my senses tell me that, that's not the popular support, but it's going to be the electronic vote is going to go to her. I think that's just what it's going to happen. But sometimes I think things come around full circles too, because many times the smartest people outsmart themselves. They paint themselves in the corner. But it's not going to do you any good to just get out there and march and protest like a lot of these people. We want to be citizens, not transients. This has been tried. It's a matter of right now you got the opportunity to get ready for what's going to happen. And I hope I'm wrong, okay? I mean, I don't want to scare you, man. I'm not Alex Jones, okay? I'm not telling you go watch my channel because I'm going to scare you every day, because a lot of my videos aren't even about this type of stuff. But I got to give you the reality of it, and I got to keep reminding people of the reality of it. But this is really why they have to have her win. It's like the people on the top. If Trump's in office, I don't think he's gonna he's gonna allow the bailouts, and it's gonna look bad. I mean, he's probably gonna make the economy even worse in the short run if Trump's in office, because when things come down, there's not going to be the cash. This is one of the main reasons where we almost had a systemic failure in the banking system. I don't want to just throw that cliche out there because you've probably heard this before, but they really did almost have a systemic failure of the banking system in the money markets, especially on September 28, 2009, right? Now, the reason for that most of the dollars that existed were in the form of credit. There wasn't even enough, and people were pulling in big bucks. The big guys were pulling out the dollars, and there wasn't enough to pull out even electronically, because most of the dollars are out there in the form of credit, which is based upon assets. And as you can't just liquefy these assets right away, and even if you try to do that, then the asset prices go down, then the money's not available, right? Now, right now, what we got is we have 3.5 times more credit out there than we did back in 2008, 2009. So, kind of like what I'm displaying here, there's going to be a chase after the dollar, the rat race to the max, when things start unraveling. And the people on the top are going to want as much bailout money as possible from the U.S. taxpayer, and they're going to lobby very heavily for it. And it probably will be better in the short term for even the average American to do the bailouts. That'll probably come under the Clinton administration in the very, very short term. But I think it would all come to a head even not that many years later, that would actually be worse. It'd be just better if the freaking elite just got fleeced. And, maybe that's what Trump would want to have happen. I don't know. I don't know how much he's in their pocket or what. I mean, I know Trump's dealt with George Soros. He's got mezzanine loans when he was doing his Trump Tower or something like that from George Soros. George Soros helped him out. I mean, they're all kind of like buddy with each other. But, I look at Hillary, she's not, well, she's about the most incompetent freaking thing going, for crying out loud. That one really is incompetent, man. I really looked at her and I said to myself, she's not stupid, but she's only smart in being a predatory type politician and very vicious in that particular way. But as far as actually memorizing what's happened in the past, she's very forgetful. And actually, some of that's not just an act. She doesn't remember a lot of stuff. She's not that intelligent. But she does know that she has to suck up to the money that's been paying her for speeches and her husband for speeches. And that is why the money has to have her in office. There is going to be a shortage of liquidity of dollars when this next crash comes, because everything out there, all the money that's out there, not all the money, but most of the money, more so skewed than ever before by several times over, more of the money that's out there in circulation that's upholding our economy is in the form of credit. Simple logic 101. You know where credit comes from? It's based upon an asset. You just can't freaking, you can say, okay, you got credit here, but we got to get this, we got to get the money now because we need to pay something, or they want to take the money. Well, the problem is that you can't just go out there and sell the asset right away. And if everybody's trying to sell off assets very quickly that are, where all this credit is based upon, the asset prices plummet. That's what happened with the housing market, for instance, right? But now it's maybe not in the housing market specifically, but it's in a lot of different markets. But overall, the creditary expansion is well over 3 times higher than it was in 2008, 2009. This is going to lead to a liquidity crunch. Actually, it could probably, not like a permanent systemic failure of the banking system, but probably a temporary failure. Now, Hillary doing the evil people's biddings in the short term might be better in the very short term. but it's not going to work out even for 5 years in distance after that, and it's not going to be nice even what happens when this crash comes about. They have to have her, though. They absolutely have to have her in power. There's no way in hell that they cannot, they can't take some other person. Like Bernie Sanders, I didn't really like Bernie Sanders, but Bernie Sanders would have been somebody that would have been, I'm not giving money to the IMF. I'm not giving money to foreign aid. I would have been more, I'm not going to give money to Wall Street. He should have been the Democratic candidate, for going against Trump. Because then, even though I could say a lot of stuff against Bernie, he's nowhere near. He's not in the hip hop. Well, I think right now he got threatened a lot by the Clinton administration and Hillary and all that stuff to shut up. But I think it's a matter of, this is coming to an extreme head, and I just can't believe that, it's going to be happening, because when this happens, America is going to get turned upside down overnight. It's going to fall quickly. This is not a doom and gloom video. I know it sounds like a doom and gloom video, but a lot of people can never believe what happened to Bear Stearns. A lot of people can never believe what happened to AIG. A lot of people can never believe what happened to Lehman Brothers. It would have been much worse than that if they didn't have the bailouts. They're going to try as much as possible to keep everything afloat. That's why they have to have Hillary Clinton in there. I'm not even sure if that's going to work. It just might work temporarily for a little while. And I think one of the biggest targets that people are going to lose wealth is not going to be the people on the very top, but the retired people, the people that worked and saved their money all their lives. There's going to be negative interest rates, probably. That might be something. I know they're going to temporarily try to raise interest rates, but that's not going to happen. I think it's going to go to negative interest rates. And one of the things that really burns me up the most, I'm kind of picking on Warren Buffett, but Warren Buffett's not the only one out there that's a piece of garbage. Pretty much everybody that's a billionaire is a piece of garbage. And if you really want to criticize Donald Trump for being this and that, I know the guy can't be flawless as being a billionaire, multi-billionaire. He can't possibly be, but he's headed. In his group, he's head and shoulders over the rest of them. There's no doubt about that. But as a matter of what I think is going to happen is that when this does come down, people that are going to be fighting and stuff, and between the Republicans and the Democrats, and the Republicans are going to be saying you got to save the wealthy because the wealthy create the jobs and they got the capital, and I'm like, no, they don't. You know what? Most of these people that are wealthy, if they have the capital and they see the United States as having too many problems in this country, they'll take that capital and reinvest it someplace else, like Singapore, China, Vietnam, Taiwan, whatever, Laos, whatever, and just get the hell out of the United States. They'll actually exit the United States, take the bailout money, and leave. That's what they would do. Even, you look at some of the people that are, I don't know, like with the, advocate gold and silver, like Mark Farber and Jim Rogers, they don't live in the United States. They got the hell out. They're looking out for number one. I think people like Trump would probably be stuck over here because he's tied here physically with a lot of his investments in the land. And I mentioned also about Leonard Stern, which was one of his arch enemies in the building industry in New York, New Jersey area especially. Leonard Stern would be tied here. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I don't know. I think things can turn around really quick with the right attitude, but the corruption is actually out there, like somebody bringing a ladder to somebody. And, that's really what happened with the Clintons. The Clintons aren't the main schemers then in his plan for politics and power. They're just following the ladder or the rope, which I hope someday is a hangman's noose, that would lead them to what they want. They're following marching orders, I guess you would say, but they don't really, they have not really planned all this. They're just looking out for number one. They don't give a damn. And when you start looking at the overall situation, the problem really isn't left or right wing politics, conservative, liberal, or Republican, Democrat. It really is the people that are in government, government, are got way too much power, because what happens is the big money behind the scenes controls these people, and then they use the government as a force to basically exploit everybody else, right? But they have to have her in power, because when this next crash comes down, she is going to push as much money into bailing out the coffers of the too bigs to fails as possible. And even if some of these entities go down, say, I don't know, Wells Fargo is the one that's been, maybe he's going to go down. They got so much crap going on right now. Yeah, maybe they go down or whatever, but the people behind the scenes, the CEOs, are going to walk off with a lot of money. And they'll just walk into another position somewhere else, making a lot of money. Who will suffer is the people that have their savings in these institutions. They have to have Hillary win this election. I don't think Trump is going to be somebody that's going to lend a sympathetic ear to bailouts. Especially bailouts are going to be umpteen times higher than what was necessary back when you had a troubled asset relief program. It was kind of a joke. I mean, Bush started doing that, and Obama was criticizing him for doing that, and he did the same thing. So, and this guy, Warren Buffett, I can't stand this guy, man. I tell you the truth, I hate this guy's guts, man. I mean, I put him right up there with Bill Gates and George Soros. He's scum. He's scum. I don't know why people respect this guy, because he's got money. It's like back in the day they used to respect, in the 1920s or the 1915, they used to respect J.P. Morgan, Piece of garbage. Piece of garbage. Didn't do anything for humanity. Did everything for himself. But everybody that's got on the top, they have to have the, philanthropist image and all this kind of garbage. And that's exactly what it is. It's just an image. But, Buffett was one of the biggest benefactors of the bailouts, and at the same time, he's acting like Mr. Corporate. I'm here to fight for America and stuff. Oh my God. I don't know why people freaking buy into this stuff. It's amazing. But really, what's going to come down to it is going to be a chase after actual dollars. Everybody's in debt. Nobody. The whole United States, whether it's the country, whether it's the individual debts, whether it's the educational loans, even, you can't get out of it. There isn't enough dollars out there to freak in existence where people can get out of debt. Now, I'm out of debt, but that's me. Very few people are out of debt. Very few. Very, very, very few. Very few. And this is what it's going to be, musical chairs. When this stuff comes down, it almost happened. Like I said, it almost happened September 28, 2009. I know Hank Paulson, he's an evil guy and all this kind of crap, but, if those bailouts didn't happen, there would have been, and there probably should have been, a bigger crash than there was. But then once that happened, things could actually have started anew in a healthy way. But basically, they gave them the artificial drugs of liquidity, just pumping more cash in the system. They're figuring that Hillary is going. That's the main reason they're behind her. It's not all the other stuff about some of these other issues, pro-choice, pro-abortion. I don't know. If you taxation rates of the corporations, immigration, whatever, rights of this person, rights of that person, whatever. What's going on in public schools and transgenders and military, and it's really why they got her in. They're backing her is she's got to be. She's the one that's in there that's gonna push as much money to the too bigs to fail when everything comes down, and then we are right on the cusp when things are coming down. I said I didn't think things were going to come down in the markets and all that kind of stuff. I didn't think the gasoline prices were going to go up that much or anything like that between now and the election. And yeah, the election's only 3 weeks away, right? So I was right. I was saying this months ago because they want it. Because when the markets come down 3 months prior to the election, they have a serious market reset. What happens is the challenging party gets in. And, that was one of the deals what happened with H.W. Bush versus Bill Clinton right back in 1992. It's what's going to happen now. It's going to be right immediately in the next term. So whoever's in office is going to get screwed, man. I mean, they're going to get handed a bunch of garbage. But Trump is not going to listen with a sympathetic ear to the too bigs to fail the way Hillary Clinton is completely owned by him. And I'm not saying because Trump is bigger than these guys. He's not. Obviously not. He's small. He's small compared to a lot of other wealth that's out there. I mean, even like the New York Mellon Bank, they had a merger some years ago. They were bailed out. They had very low troubled assets. There was another website I used to see that would all show the troubled assets of the bankings of the various banks at the time back in 2008, 2009. Oh, they were one of the ones that received a lot of TARP money too. Probably don't hear about them as much. Mellon's actually a very old family. I mean, Peabody, Mellon, right? People don't even hear these words. They think of like Rockefeller, Bill Gates or something, Warren Buffett, George Soros. They don't even hear about Mellon or Peabody. And they're big names too. Way bigger than Trump. Way bigger. And actually, I've seen stuff where people have a lot more wealth in physical assets that are they could be in isotopes, they could be in physical gold even, and they're not measured and shown anywhere on the books. So, I mean, the Forbes list is total garbage as far as who really runs the country. They don't want the wealthiest people are not even on the Forbes list to tell you the truth. But I can tell you honestly, it's always a revolving door because people are constantly battling to get up in that group, and it's a cutthroat situation. And one of the things you need to really look for is to just whittle down the size of that. I don't even want to use that word, but use that word like government, like whittle down the size of that apparatus, the apparatus of force that could be used against the people by just, bribing and making, filling up the coffers of our representatives, and that they work against us, the people, right? In other words, that's really the solution. You got to really knock down the size of the freaking damn apparatus that's in Washington, D.C., otherwise known as the government. Not that we need to elect the right leader. We just need to have them lose a lot of their power. Because who the hell actually gave them the power to take taxpayers' money and bail out major financial institutions like they did last time? That should have never happened. But that is the main reason. All these other issues are secondary bullshit. The main reason the elite are behind Hillary is that they know there's going to be an upcoming crash, and she is going to go, I don't know how you say this, balls to the wall, bailing them out. She'll do everything by executive order, whatever, blah, blah. She'll create laws to confiscate wealth from retirees or whatever, just so she can serve the elite. And I don't think most people are going to be voting for her, but she probably will be in. I hate to say that. That's probably what's going to happen. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to vote anyway, because there's an outside chance, just like the UK got out of European Union. I probably think the UK was probably the vast majority of people wanted to get out of it. They did get out of the European Union, and a miracle happened, right? So maybe But if Trump gets in, he's going to inherit this problem. It's not going to be easy. And so, just want to put your heads up on this stuff because this is only a matter of months away. I have been correct about the whole economy and the world not falling apart between now and the election. I have been correct about that. I wasn't 100% sure about that. But just looking at statistics, that's what happens. You got to keep things rolling nice to keep the incumbent party in there to give them the best chance at getting in. If the markets all came down, they would have blamed the Democrats and they would have lost votes. In other words, they could cheat, but they can't cheat that much. Maybe there's a limit to cheating. So, but it's all going to come to a head, I think, within the first quarter of 2017. And by the time the year 2017 is out, it's going to be very, very obvious we're going to be in a major, major recession. So, and the liquidity is not there. That's all there is to it. Everything is out there in the form of credit. We've been paying a bunch of suits with high freaking big fat egos, whether they're brokers, whether it's CPAs, attorneys, whatever the hell they are, including, the people that are running these investment houses and things. And it doesn't matter. The whole freaking system with all these suits they're worthless, man. We need to get back to sticks, bricks, and mortar, growing food, and what the real industry of America was. And, that's what these jerks need to do in these suits, too, for sure.